I used to think clarity came from doing more, learning more, achieving more. At 32, I had the job, the apartment with a city view, and a calendar packed with meetings and goals. But every morning I woke up feeling like I was drowning, not in water, but in thoughts. My mind never stopped talking. To-do lists, doubts, memories I hadn't asked for. It was like living inside a room with 100 televisions on at once. I didn't realize how far I'd drifted from myself until I found myself standing in the middle of the street one day, frozen. The cars weren't moving yet, but I couldn't cross. My mind had gone blank, not in peace, but in pure mental static. That's when I stumbled into a narrow alley, looking for something, anything to pull me back. That's how I met Kenzo. His tea shop was almost invisible from the street. No flashy sign, no music, just a wooden door slightly ajar and the scent of jasmine. I stepped inside more out of desperation than curiosity. He looked up at me from behind the counter, an older man, maybe in his 70s, with calm eyes that seemed to see right through me. "You look heavy," he said, not unkindly. "Sit." I didn't argue. I sat. He poured tea without asking what I wanted. The silence felt awkward at first. I kept waiting for him to make small talk, ask about my job or my name, but he just placed the tea in front of me and returned to trimming a bonsai tree. I sipped. The warmth was simple, but it slowed me. For the first time in months, I wasn't rushing to the next moment. I went back the next day, and the next. Still, he rarely spoke, but somehow, that quiet space began to unravel something inside me. One afternoon, I couldn't help myself and asked, "Why do you never talk?" He smiled. "Why do you always need noise?" That question echoed louder than any boardroom presentation ever had. I didn't have an answer. Maybe I was afraid of what I'd hear if the noise stopped. Maybe the silence would show me who I really was beneath the ambition, beneath the layers of control I clung to. He said one more thing before I left that day. "Empty your mind. It's the only way to see what matters." I didn't understand him then, but something in me stirred, like dust shifting in a long-abandoned room. I began to wonder, what if clarity wasn't something to chase, but something to uncover by letting go? Kenzo never handed me a map, but over time I realized he was showing me a way out of my own mental prison, not through lectures, but through presence. He taught by example, moving slowly, listening deeply, doing one thing at a time. His tea-making ritual was almost meditative. Each movement had purpose, yet no urgency. It made me question why I rushed through life like it was a race. One day I showed up in a whirlwind, phone buzzing, emails piling up, my mind spinning with deadlines. I vented to him, expecting sympathy, but he simply pointed to a small cup on the table. "Pour water," he said. I filled the cup to the brim. "Now, pour more." I hesitated, but followed. Water spilled over, soaking the table. He looked me in the eye. "This is your mind, full of everything. No space for peace, no room for clarity." It hit me then. I wasn't overwhelmed because life was too much. I was overwhelmed because I never emptied my mind. I carried every worry, every past mistake, every imagined future with me, every single day. So I started small. I turned off my phone for an hour each evening. I walked without music. I began journaling not to analyze, but to release. It was uncomfortable. The silence felt eerie at first, like standing in a room after a storm. But slowly I began to notice things. The sound of birds, the way sunlight fell across my table, the breath I'd been holding for years. In those quiet moments, memories I'd buried started rising. Regrets, the night I skipped my sister's art show for a work call, the friend I hadn't checked on, the father I never said goodbye to properly. But instead of pushing them away, I let them stay. I let them speak. And somehow, in doing that, they began to soften. Kenzo never asked me to change my life, but his presence nudged me toward it. 6 months later, I turned down a major promotion. People thought I was crazy, but I had finally emptied myself of their expectations. I didn't need more to prove my worth. I needed less to find it. Now, I live in the mountains, running a small retreat center. I teach others what Kenzo taught me, not through words, but through space. Space to breathe, to feel, to be. Sometimes, people ask why I walked away from everything. I tell them I didn't walk away. I simply stopped carrying what was never mine to hold. And in that emptying, I found everything. Because clarity isn't something you find in the noise. It's what's left when the noise finally fades.